In the most breathtaking and stupid way I can describe, KamiKatsu has become one of the most underrated and unhinged anime I have watched in years. This show is beyond nutty. It's the equivalent of No Game No Life having an isekai love child with the daughter of Redo of a Healer and HBO Max's The Righteous Gemstones.
Not virgin power? I don't know what is.
With all the anime flair and pizzazz that is reserved for only the absolute peak of animation. It is a vile, nonsensical, deviant shitstorm of some of the most fun, degenerate, and original ideas I have seen of any anime maybe ever.
That's an exaggeration.
It's literally like an anime from the mid-2010s revamped with all the excess of a modern-day masterpiece, parading as a self-aware, made-for-TV adult film. Nothing I said just made any sense, but neither does this fucking show, and my Mitama, I love it. But let's back up. For those of you who haven't seen it, I'll be talking about plot points for the first 7 episodes of this show. As many episodes are as out at this time of this video, or at least the script or something. I don't know when the video is going to come out. But I implore you, watch this show and come back if you haven't. For a refresher, this story follows Yukito as he is routinely murdered and brought back to life in typical isekai fashion. Yukito isn't a nerd though, he's seen it all before, expecting powers, abilities, his stepmom, a cell phone, becoming a fucking vending machine, or some tropey nonsense. He wakes up from his death by being revived by Al.
I just need to yank this lever.
We are 3 minutes and 11 seconds into this show. Let's now take a moment to review some of the other questionable moments this show would like us to consider. Alcoholism, piss poor CGI, voyeurism, erotic literature, societal ostracism, state-sanctioned killings, bondage, human branding. Okay, well, that's kind of a lot of shit, so like, that must put us at least like halfway through the show, right? Like, we must have made a pretty good dent in it by now, right? Oh no, we are only 19 minutes into the first episode. There's an immense amount of emotional whiplash in the first episode, pivoting quickly between outright hilarious, horrific and brooding, and horny as all hell. This show seems to get off on having a good time. I joked about the CGI earlier, but it being so outlandishly shit is the charm I'm sure the animators were going for, in the same way that Kung Pao, Austin Powers, and Kung Fu Hustle's absurdism is part of the joy of watching it. At first you're like, what the fuck is this? But then you're like, okay, I kind of fuck with this, alright. Once you're in on the joke, you're looking for it just about everywhere you can, and then it becomes this running gag that moves beyond hilarious into downright, like, puke city levels of gut busting. The tractor scene is basically just an early 2000s iMac iPhoto filter thing you and your cousins would have fucked around with in an Apple store before splitting a Grillmaster trio at the local mall's Pollo Tropical food court. It's literally the Dark Souls of anime's CGI. I hate myself for saying that just now. In all the best ways, this studio... Wait, who animated this? The world's finest assassin had janky CGI and a weird amount of fan service and was for some reason sickly addictive. It being Studio Palette's second entry and KamiKatsu being the third is just kind of dumb. Like, they clearly have a style and are perfecting it one dumb horny show at a time. Like, I loved that series. I did a spoofy like in minutes style video earlier, like last year or something, because I make like one video a year, and I'm happy that they made this. This is fucking cool. I'm glad. Anyway, we're introduced to the main cast pretty much immediately. There's Yukito, who I touched on before, and okay, we can do this. You watched a lot of anime in your life. We can do this. Okay. There's there's hold on, we can do this. There's Aruraru, or Al, that I already mentioned before. Her sister, who is also named Shiruru. Her name is Shiruriru. And Roy, who's just... his name's literally just Roy. Al and Sil run the local pub. Roy is the hometown perv, jack of all trades, best friend weirdo. Al has a thing for Yukito because, look at him. Sil has a thing for Al because, look at her. And Roy has a thing for anything with a pulse, or maybe, they don't even have to have a pulse. Yukito, being our lead, has this quirky, not like the other girls' background. That background being cults. His dad was the leader of a cult that worshipped Mitama, a primordial god of creation. As such, Yukito is bewildered by this world and the fact that they worship no deities and have no concept of God at all. This is all very strange to Yukito, and at the end of episode 1, when he's rather dramatically cut down trying to save his friends from the gallows, like I said, this show is emotional whiplash, like just boom, whiplash. You wouldn't even believe it, just bam, car crash. He is saved by the very god that let him die in his previous life. Mitama's appearance in the show changes everything. Mitama is all at once immensely interesting, powerful, and a hilariously inept god of creation, even more stifled by this world's power system. Mitama explains that a god's power is determined by their following. In other words, their clout.
They do anything for clout.
These little clout goblins eat up the validation provided by their followers and can in turn express this raw, godly energy, whereas some of the most followed people in our world express this validation with like little tiny pee-pee energy. Being that this world doesn't believe in gods though, Mitama has no followers and is therefore like totally useless. She sucks. She's really not good at being a god. This is where the crux of the show really kicks in. Yukito, being raised in a cult, knows how to convert non-believers and begins to manipulate the townspeople into becoming adamant devotees of this lolly god. Roy and his friends really have no problem accepting this, but Yukito has this like tenacity inside of him. To protect the villagers and the friends he made along the way, Yukito has to be devious. He bribes the villagers with literally anything he can do to get them to believe in and worship Mitama, coming across with the same underhandedness of Sora from No Game No Life. In fact, in a lot of ways, the show feels kind of like the spiritual successor to that series. We have the same cunning and plotting big brother archetype who is inexplicably the smartest person in the room and like perpetually looking like he stayed up on binge drinking like until 5 a.m. And then we have the mascot side / little sister character, an art style that is way too beautiful to be reasonably understood by the human brain, and a show that dances between absolutely bewilderingly off the wall and immovably serious when it has to be. It hits that same nerve, that same set of emotions that created magic back in 2014. And hopefully KamiKatsu doesn't end up in season 2 hell like our No Game No Life babies did back then. What's equally fun is that the writing in this show, for the absolute batshit insanity of it all, is actually pretty tight, and the ideas being expressed here are executed well, with twists and character development all being given the right amount of time to breathe before moving on to the next point. There is a mystery to the world, and a scope that continues to open up as the show runs on, with at least for now no signs of slowing down. I'm sure some of you are already getting angry that I keep calling this show an isekai, because it's not. I lied to your face. Each and every one of you. I told a big old fib. And for those of you who haven't gotten to this point in the series yet, I just was lying to you the whole time and you just ate it up. You ate it like a little duck with this bowl of peas. You just nibbled on it and didn't even... In an absolutely what the fuck kind of moment, this show decides that it doesn't want to be an isekai anymore. It just decided it didn't want to. And it goes full Planet of the fucking Apes. It's one thing, and it might have been that thing originally, and they said, you know what? Nah, we're just gonna do this whole other thing instead. And you know what? It doesn't even matter because the plot doesn't change at all. It's just like, whoa, Planet of the Apes, not isekai. We're in the future, but it's the past. What the hell? This is so crazy, right? And the idea being that Yukito never really died and was instead transported like 10,000 years into the future by Mitama to fulfill his dying dream where he didn't actually die, or maybe he did, of living in a world where there were no gods, except for apparently Mitama, who followed him there because that's what she did. She just decided to follow him. This future, though, far from being the utopian society that our atheist dreams of, is kind of fucked up. Like, did you watch the first part of this? The world, or at least in the capital, works in a purely utilitarian way. People die when they are killed, in order to manage resources and act as a check on population control. Jobs are assigned, the rules are determined by the all-knowing king and his circle, This of course makes sense when you realize that they decided to twist things again, and instead of the future, it's like the future but also the Matrix, like the real Matrix, like the movie kind of thing, not the Alex Jones kind of red pill kind of thing.
Jesus killed him. We should rename the whole planet.
And it's just a twist that comes out of nowhere, but essentially humanity reaches a point where we just surrender to AI and let them make all of our decisions for us, leading to a world of sheep people who can't think for themselves and rely on technology for everything. And that could never happen, right? Hello? What the? With Mitama's appearance and her trying to speedrun religion, the sexy cyborg android alien people that were made to watch over this world decide it's time to disrupt the old baby and reintroduce the world to faith, putting themselves up as gods in a continent-spanning, god-slaying, sexy pay-per-view WWE SmackDown competition with Mitama and Yukito. And although Yukito's Riz may be great, these two have a lot to learn before they're able to save anyone. But I believe Mitama can brick up the world. Thanks for watching.